Let's talk about my ex. I know I mentioned my ex in another video, and I wanted to first clarify that there are two. There's one that I moved to LA with in 2011, and then there's one that I started dating in 2013, who was the relationship that I was kind of like in and out of in 2018 at the time of the attack. So I have a baby puppy right here, sleeping. So cute. And I'll get into why this relationship with this ex was significant as we go along, but I think you'll see as we go further into the story how this plays a role. So me and this guy had been in a relationship, like I said, between 2013 and 2018. It was a roller coaster. It was one of those relationships where we're together and we're not, we're fighting and we're not. But at the time, like we had been in this relationship for 5 years, up and down, but we were best friends. We just were like obsessed with each other. Well, I had known him since high school. I knew who he was because he was like a star. The front page of the newspaper, he was a star athlete, he was popular at all the different high schools. One Christmas after me and my first ex broke up, I was back home in Wisconsin, and me and this next ex, we just kept bumping into each other. Like our chairs just kept literally bumping into each other at restaurants, ordering a drink at the same bar. And it just felt very much like a meet cute. As that we both lived in Santa Monica. We had both moved from Wisconsin out to LA. Even from the beginning, would come and drop off like really extensive gifts. And I say extensive because it was like time consuming gifts, like scavenger hunts with like 7 stops along the way, go like drive around the city to pick up each gift, which is cute, but you'll see in the context of some of these other things, like he lied about a lot of weird things randomly, like lied about his age, that he knew in California, thought that he was younger than he was, like 5 years younger than he was. And so then when I started hanging around, I was like, no, of course it was like, it's a joke. And, haha. Got a thrill out of breaking into things like that. Maybe some red flags. So when I was in LA and me and this first ex broke up, I didn't know anybody. I hadn't really made very many friends. I had a couple friends from waitressing, but that was it. Started hanging out with him, and he's like also magnetic and charismatic, and he's the center of attention in every room, and he is so confident, and he he had this big group of friends that he had made in California, and I'm shy. So I just kind of slotted into his group of friends, and it was kind of perfect for me. Now I just kind of fit into his group, and it was great. The whole time the feeling was always like he was more dedicated to the relationship than me. It was always kind of what the narrative was between him and I, and with our group of friends. He was the one who was desperately in love. He was the one who was committed, and I was the one who was selfish and wasn't taking it seriously and was hurting him. It was always this dynamic where I felt bad all the time, that there was something inside me that just felt like something was wrong and like I needed space. There was also a dynamic between us that he had told me many, many times again that my memory was bad. I didn't remember things right. He was the one that remembered things. And over time, of course I fought at the beginning. I was like, no, I remember things. And that over and over and over again, it just became kind of like he was the one in the relationship who remembered things correctly. He was also the rational one. And that's where, when I said in one video, I just wasn't standing up for myself daily, to a point where I just believed that he was the one that was good and that was committed and that was loving and that was there, thankfully remembered things for me because I needed help. It's just a lot of these really kind of not so great dynamics. So fast forward to we break up in August of 2017, and this, like I said, is not an abnormal thing. We did a lot of making up and breaking up. Between August and January, I would say, I dated a guy for a couple months. We broke up. He was dating people, to my knowledge, no one very seriously, but he was going on dates. And then cut to February. So the attack happened February 23rd. The week before was Valentine's Day. He and I made dinner. We had a pizza cook-off at his apartment. We snuggled and watched movies. And the week of the attack, in my apartment on my couch, and was just like, what are we doing? Are we going to be together or are we not going to be together? Are we going to be friends? Are we going to be a couple? And I remember he said he needed another year and a half to figure that out. I don't know what that year and a half was for, but needless to say, I was like, what? Christmas before, and he had done the Love Actually thing when, we were broken up and he wanted us to get back together. So he stood outside with this big notepad and said things like, I can't breathe without you. I can't live without you. This wasn't when we were broken up, but we were together, and I came home from work, and I walked in my door, and he had moved into my apartment, as a surprise, was like hanging things up on the wall. And like, we didn't talk about this. This wasn't something that we had even somewhat discussed. It out his entire apartment and was like, surprise. I was mad, like that didn't go over well. If you're in a relationship with a girl, don't surprise move into her apartment. Don't set up this elaborate like proposal where he brought me out into the woods, which I started crying because I didn't want to be in the woods. It was nighttime. And then he kneeled down on the side of the road and asked me to marry him. And I said, no, like we're broken up. But again, like it was up and down and it was weird. Like, so then now the night of the attack has happened. What I didn't tell you guys is before I called 911, I tried calling him. I tried calling him 3 times and he didn't answer. So then I called 911. Don't recommend doing this, ladies. Like, don't do that. Just call 911. I get taken to the hospital. I don't know his phone number by heart. And like I said, the police took my phone, which I think was just because they didn't know what was happening yet. So they were investigating everything. And I was also, part of that investigation. I was just kept saying in the hospital, call my mom and call him. Call my mom and call him. Call my mom and call him. Him as in my ex. They were calling my mom. They finally got a hold of her. I was able to talk to her in the hospital, which was like heaven, her to please get a hold of him. I wanted him to come to the hospital. My mom was trying to call him. She had his number. She gave his number to the hospital. They were trying to call him. My brother tried to call him. None of us could get a hold of him the night of the attack.